This is the United States courthouse. Inside is a man, a Chinese man, in his late 30s. His name is Tse Chi Lop. He has been accused of being one of the masterminds of a heroin trade in North America. Tse Chi Lop pleads guilty for trafficking heroin into the U.S., a charge which potentially carries a life sentence. But he asks for leniency. He claims he has seen the errors in his ways, and if they go easy on him, he will leave his life of crime behind, spend time with his family, and open a restaurant. The court takes pity. He is then sentenced to 9 years in prison. 6 years later, he walks free. For the next decades, he will go on to build one of the largest drug empires the world has ever seen.
A drug kingpin whose $22 billion empire spans across Asia.
One of the world's most notorious drug lords.
So he's like maybe the most underappreciated gangland legend of at least the last quarter century.
He's the greatest criminal of all time, and it's not close.
He thought big, he crossed boundaries.
Peak. Tse Chi Lop was making about $18 billion a year in profit, so that's roughly the level of Citibank. That's like a very large corporation.
Fundamentally pushed the drug trade to the limits, to the tune of $60 billion. It's Breaking Bad on steroids is what it is.
El Chapo's cartel at its peak was about $3 billion a year. So no Mexican cartel ever got anywhere remotely close to Tse Chi Lop's operation. Not even close.
This is the story of the world's biggest drug lord. Tse Chi Lop was born in 1963 in Guangdong, China, during the Cultural Revolution. During this time, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party, Mao Zedong, had mobilized millions of young people into a radical youth movement known as the Red Guards, a radical student-led paramilitary movement with the aim of attacking anyone deemed an enemy of the communist ideology. Mao feared that China would develop along the lines of capitalism and liberalism. The revolution caused widespread chaos across China, destroying lives and cities. When the Cultural Revolution ended, the Red Guards were no longer useful to the state and were deemed as too violent by the communist regime. As China stabilized, many of these displaced youths were left behind. Their abandonment by the CCP and their resilience to survive gradually led some of them into criminal organizations. And this was one of the criminal gangs Tse found himself in. It's 1988. Tse is able to acquire Canadian citizenship through naturalization. He moves to Toronto, Canada with his fiancée and parents. There he manages to secure a legitimate day job at Fujifilm. On the surface, Tse appears to be living a completely normal life. Tse has risen through the ranks of the Big Circle boys. Tse is not satisfied with his progress. He wants to make more money. He believes the Big Circle boys can become more than a street gang. During the 90s, North America was grappling with a surge in heroin addiction. It had become the largest narcotics market in the world, and the rising heroin addiction created consistent demand. Tse had identified a lucrative opportunity. He recognized that whoever could establish a stable and reliable supply chain of heroin would be positioned to generate enormous profits. His connections in the criminal underworld gave him a major advantage. Tse already had access to suppliers in the Golden Triangle, a major center for high-quality heroin production in Southeast Asia. It is nicknamed the Golden Triangle because of the mountainous landscape which makes it difficult for authorities to control. Tse plans to use existing routes already utilized by other drug traffickers, which will allow him to smuggle large quantities from the Golden Triangle directly into Canada via major Canadian ports. However, the route he intends to use is owned by the Rizzuto family, a notorious crime family based in Montreal. To avoid triggering a war with them, Tse forms a mutually beneficial alliance with the Rizzuto family. The Rizzuto family will allow him to use its ports and will also act as a mediator to prevent conflict. And in exchange, Tse offers his men some of the Big Circle boys' infrastructure and its money laundering capabilities, introducing the Rizzuto family to new illicit revenue income streams. The deal was completed. shipments of heroin were concealed inside legitimate cargo with electronics, food products, and other commercial goods, allowing drugs to move through the port undetected. By 1997, Tse had managed to monopolize the market of heroin while cutting prices by 40%. Heroin had become cheaper to make and was also easier to smuggle. It is estimated that 70% of heroin smuggled and sold in North America was owned and controlled by Tse. Meanwhile, the FBI had launched an operation trying to catch the masterminds behind the mass importation of heroin onto American soil. FBI agent Mark Calnan and Officer Mario Lamoth, assigned to work on separate cases of drug trafficking, soon realized that they were onto the same person. August 1998. Tse is on a flight to Hong Kong. He is going there to meet several criminal leaders to discuss the logistics and sourcing of his heroin trade. But unbeknownst to him, the FBI have been spying on his moves for a while now, and they finally identified him after 6 years of undercover work. Before flying to Hong Kong, he was previously in China. The FBI was unable to arrest him due to the lack of extradition treaty between the US and China. But this time, it's different. After arriving, Tse takes a taxi to Tsim Sha Tsui. He enters a restaurant, the place for the meeting. In just a few minutes after entering the restaurant, FBI agent Calnan and Mario, accompanied by the Hong Kong police, bust in. The agents were surprised by how normal the notorious heroin smuggler was. He didn't look like the typical drug dealers they were used to. The local police make the arrest. At the courthouse, Tse is charged with conspiracy to import heroin into the US, a charge which potentially carries a life sentence. He pleads guilty for the heroin trade, but he asks for leniency. According to the Eastern Standard Times, Tse was up for early release because he told the court he had great sorrow for his crimes and that when released, he would open a restaurant business, leaving his life of crime behind. The court takes pity. He is sentenced to 9 years in prison. 6 years later, he walks free. It's May 2006. Tse has been released from prison. He moves back to Canada. He is to be under supervised release for the next 3 years. After 3 years, he returns to Hong Kong with his wife. He then registers a business and names it Sam Gore. He contacts his old connections in the Golden Triangle and mainland China. He is back in the game, this time with a different business model. Tse begins to shift his focus to crystal meth and other synthetic drugs. Crystal meth is perfect. It is a powerful synthetic drug. In comparison, an orgasm spikes dopamine by about 80%, while crystal meth can drive dopamine up to 1,400%. That massive difference explains why crystal meth is highly addictive. Unlike heroin produced with crops, crystal meth are cheaper to make. They are produced with chemicals and can be cooked anywhere and anytime and in large quantities. This scale of production allowed Tse to also offer a guaranteed delivery policy. That is, if one of his drug deliveries was intercepted by police, it was replaced at no extra cost, or deposits were returned to the buyers. It's the same system Amazon uses. Tse also forms alliances with other criminal organizations across Asia and Australia. The Woshing Wo from Hong Kong, the Bamboo from Taiwan, the Australia Biker Gang, the Hells Angels from the US, and many other more. He begins to set up labs across China. The labs begin producing the world's purest meth. The meth is then smuggled across the borders either by land, often concealed in packets of tea. The meths were transported to over 15 countries, including Japan, Australia, South Korea, and New Zealand. By the late 2010s, Tse's organization controlled 70% of the global methamphetamine market. In Australia alone, he was responsible for roughly 70% of all methamphetamine imports. Even Escobar, whose empire spanned continents and controlled vast cocaine networks, was nowhere close to the level of organization, scale, and wealth that Tse achieved. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime estimated that Tse's annual revenue from methamphetamine sales alone was between $8 billion and $17.7 billion. But some estimates placed its total yearly revenue as high as $21 billion. In comparison, Escobar was generating an annual revenue of $3 billion. Tse was now overseeing an incredible amount of wealth. He would host lavish birthday parties each year at resorts and five-star hotels, flying in his family in private jets. He had also become a big gambler. He was a frequent visitor to Asia's casinos and fond of betting on horses, and sometimes loses $66 million in one night at a casino. As business boomed, so did the devastation on the end of the supply chain. Australia especially was hit by a sudden surge in drug-induced deaths. Methamphetamine spread rapidly across the country, destroying lives and leaving countless people trapped in a circle of addiction. For more than a decade, the Australian Federal Police had been on this case. Yet every lead ended the same way: another dead end. They kept seizing drugs, yet more keeps popping up. The operation behind the flood of drugs was vast and always one step ahead. Millions of dollars worth of methamphetamine, an estimated $4.5 million, was seized, but the AFD was still far from a breakthrough. The AFP begins to share its findings with international law enforcement agencies. This alliance included 20 agencies from US, Canada, China, and Japan. Interpol even joined this operation. Together, the investigators began to cross current activities with the FBI records, and it all pointed to one man, the same person who was jailed for heroin trafficking in the past. But this info alone is not enough to make an arrest. They need solid evidence to tie Tse Chi Lop to the smuggling of methamphetamine. It's November 2016. A young man is at Nanyang International Airport in Myanmar. He is in his 20s. He goes by the name Kai Zhang Tse. He is carrying a leather bag and 2 iPhones. Kai Zhang Tse is an operational manager at Sam Gore. He acts as a hands-on manager and supervisor for large-scale operations of methamphetamine across Asia-Pacific and is responsible for high-level transport. For months, Kai has been based in Myanmar, monitoring production and inspecting the quality of the drugs on Tse's behalf. Now, his assignment is complete, and he is preparing to board a flight home to Taiwan. As he walks through the departure area, he is tense. His hands are red and blistered. He is constantly picking at them. Blistered hands are a sign of handling methamphetamine. His action is witnessed by the airport security. He is pulled aside by the head of the airport security for questioning, as his actions were suspicious. Upon close inspection, they found 80 grams of ketamine strapped to his thigh. He gets arrested by the police. His belongings are seized. The authorities gain access to his devices. They discovered a mine of information. Thousands of text messages, call logs, photos, videos linked to the international drug trafficking operation they have been investigating for decades now. Among the images is the picture of a man already familiar to the investigators. At this moment, the police and investigators began to piece everything together. Comparing the new evidence with what they already knew, it became clear that what they had long believed to be the work of multiple crime syndicates was actually the operation of a single, highly organized group controlled by one man. Ultimately, Kai's stupidity pulls the thread that uncovers the whole operation. A few months after Kai's arrest, police were able to bust 2 major drug operations. They seized 1.1 tons of crystal meth at a jetty in Yangon, just as it was being shipped out to sea. A year later, they also raided the super lab Tse had set up in Myanmar. Inside, they found 10 tons of crystal meth worth $3.5 billion. Police will later raid the compound of a man named Su Songkitakul, whom they suspect to be one of Tse's operational chiefs. Inside his house, they find a small meth lab, a Lamborghini, and cash totaling $9 million. They also discover an underground tunnel leading away from the house, but Sue wasn't present during the raid. Despite the growing number of seizures and arrests, Tse is still nowhere to be found. On October 14, 2019, an article was published by Reuters titled, "The Hunt for Asia's El Chapo." It was the first time Tse Chi Lop was publicly named. Australian authorities now had a clear suspect. Operation Kungar is initiated to arrest Tse. January 2021. Tse is at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. He is going to Canada to meet his family. Unbeknownst to him, the Australian Federal Police are tracking his movements. They are waiting for the best opportunity to arrest him. During a security check, he hands his passport to airport security. Immediately afterward, Tse is arrested by the police. But Tse is just one man, and the rest of the syndicate remains active and continues to operate without him. The question is, who has taken his place?